What's going on, everybody? Bauer Brown here. Welcome back to the channel, guys. In the video that I have for you guys today, we're going to be getting our choo-choo on. That's right. We're going to be going over the train system. All right. Now, this train system video may or may not be split up into a couple different videos. We'll have to see how it goes, okay? This is actually my third time recording this, or fourth, I'm not sure. Doesn't always go as easy as I would like. But anyhow, my previous attempts have definitely gone on the long side. So let's just see how this goes, okay? So anyhow, with the train system seems to be giving a lot of folks a lot of problems, all right? And they're having these problems in different areas. So I'm going to try and cover these areas the best that I can and add some clarity to the situation, okay? And help you understand what's going on there. So this is perhaps a little bit easier for you guys when you start tackling your train systems, all right? Okay, so now with the train system, you have two different choices with this, okay? You can either have the type of train system that Giants is currently using, where it comes in on one side of your map and it exits the other side, and there's a sell point up in that area. So when it leaves the map, it sells its goods, and that's it. Or you can have the type of train system that is enclosed within your map. Like if you look at my road system here, the tracks themselves would just circle the map. They wouldn't actually leave it, right? It would be contained within the map itself. Okay, so in any case, you're going to need a set of tracks that you can lay down. So you can find a set on the internet, look up some prefabs or something like that. Maybe download a track pack, so to speak. All right, they are available. So download one for yourself and, get it laid down in any configuration that you would like. All right, now what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be going through the configuration where it comes in one side and goes out the other. Okay, because that seems to be the one that's giving people the most issues there. So we're going to stick with that one, all right, and try to cover some things as far as that is concerned. All right, so this train system of ours, okay, it's comprised of a couple different components, all right? The first one being the physical component, which is the tracks themselves, which is, what you either have laid down or you are about to lay down, okay? And then the rest of it is basically just placeables, and it's 3 different placeables to be exact. All right, the train system is one placeable, and then you have your sell points, hotspots, that sort of thing, right? Okay, so we're going to be tackling all 3 of those today. So first things first, I'm going to start with my tracks. And like I said, I'm going to be coming in one side and exiting the other side. Now, since my map here is based on the Giants US mod map, right? It's based on Elm Creek or just a US map. I'm going to be using their train system, and I'm going to leave it right in the place that I take it from out of the map. So it's probably going to be in the same location, coming in here and going out over there somewhere. All right. So first things first, let me grab a set of these tracks here. Now, I believe that I already have a set downloaded. So let me look in my prefabs here. Let's go to map, go to prefabs, and yes, I do have some tracks there. All right, so I'm just going to go ahead and drag those into the map. All right, like so. Okay. All righty, let's see what we have. Oh, okay, let's not do that. Let's go up there. All right, that looks pretty good. So, like I said, get your train tracks the same way. Get them laid down, the way that in the configuration that you want to use. Okay. And don't worry about the spline just yet. We're going to get to the spline, so don't worry about that. That's part of the placeable itself. All right. So I got my tracks here, and I'm looking pretty good. All right. So there's not much else to that part. Like I said, the railroad tracks themselves, they're a physical aspect of the map, and they stay, within the map itself. They don't get, like all of my placeables eventually will be getting moved up here to my placeholders transform group. But this will not. The train tracks, they will not get moved up there. So, we're pretty good as far as that goes. We don't really have to worry about that, okay? All right. So like I said, get your train tracks done, and let's move on to the placeable. So with the placeable, I'm going to go over to the base game. All right. And I'm going to copy them over to my over to my mod map, the whole entire thing. I'm not going to leave anything on the base game side because I'm going to be making a lot of changes to these files, right? So they're going to become, local files at this point. So if I'm in data and I'm on the base game map right now, go to data, placeables. I'm gonna, like I said, I need mod map US because my tracks are all based on the US. Okay. And right there at the bottom of the list of placeables is the train system. Okay. So I'm going to copy that whole entire folder right there. I'm going to copy it over into my placeables. Now, while I'm here, there's two other placeables that I'm going to grab. Okay. So I'm going to open this up, my train system on my mod map side, and I'm going to grab this selling station train. Okay. I'm going to grab both files from inside of there, and I'm going to copy those over. And there's one more placeable that we're going to need, and it's a selling station wood train. So I'm going to grab all the files from in there, and I'm going to move that over as well, or copy them over. Okay, you will notice that selling station train does not have an actual a shapes file with it. Okay, and I'll explain that part when we get to it. That one works a little bit differently than your traditional like trigger, your traditional sell point. Okay, so let me see. I got out of those folders and I didn't really want to. All right, so I'm going to take the the train system, okay, and I'm going to drag that into my map. We're going to get that imported, and I'm going to open up the XML for the train system. Okay, so we got that opened up. All right, very nice. All right, so first things first. What I want to do here is, because I moved this into my my local, it's now a local copy. I'm going to change my file path here, so I'm going to get that set first thing. Oops, let's keep that saying placeables. Okay, and you just want to, like I said, you want to point this to your current train system.i3d, right? Okay, so this here is the XML for the train system itself, and there's a few things going on inside of here. We'll touch on these as we get to them, but I'll quickly go through and just explain a few things. Okay, now here you have your hotspots, and that's where you rent the train, the little icons and stuff that show up for when you rent your train. Same thing with the trigger markers, right? Those are the exclamation marks that show up. And I'm going through this quickly, but like I said, don't worry, we're going to come back to it a lot. Train system, if you want to change the rate, like it costs $1,000 per hour to rent the train. If you want to change that, you can do that right here at the rent train price per hour. Okay, that's something that's very easily done. Next thing that you guys want to do is, or I'm sorry, not the next thing you want to do, the spline for the train itself. Okay. This is the node for the spline, and I'll explain what that means when we get there. The spline, the Y offset, is if you're putting your train down and it looks like he's sunk into the tracks or floating above it, you can adjust the offset for that train so he's either up, higher or lower. The driving range is, I'll explain that also. As a matter of fact, I should probably just explain most of this as we get to it. But you'll notice here the driving range where it says selling station ID, and there's your selling station train, okay? Because this one works a little bit differently, like I said, all right? So just keep that in mind when we get to it. Now, as far as the train's concerned, if you go into your base game, right? If you go into, let's see, where are we at there? If you go into a go into a data, go down to vehicles, okay? And then go all the way down to the bottom there. And where is it? Maybe not all the way down to the bottom. Right here we have train. Okay, so you have two different locomotives that you can use, and a few different wagons. All right, so you can mix and match. You don't have to stick with exactly with what they have here. You can use a different locomotive. You could use a different configuration of like wagons and cars if you want to. Like if you want to use a US map, but you want to use like the Alpine train, you can go ahead and do that. You don't have to stick with the 5 cars they have here. You can do 10 if you want. I don't know if I recommend going too long, but you can do it. All right. So that's basically everything that's inside this XML. All your callers are in here. Your railroad gates here up and down, your blockers and stuff like that. That's all inside of here. Like I said, and instead of trying to explain it without knowing what we're really talking about, I'll explain it as we go when we start, working with these items. It just makes a lot more sense, I guess. All right, so we're going to go ahead and, where did I leave off? Okay, I changed the file path to my placeables train system, right? So we're good as far as that goes. Now I need to update in my placeables. I'm going to delete what's here because I already have some stuff inside of there. Like I said, I was working on this before. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab one of these placeables that are currently here, and I'm going to copy that. Alrighty, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to paste that in, and we're going to call this train system. All right, that's pretty unique. Just call it train system. Okay, train system, and again, we just want to adjust the address here so it's points to our local copy here. All right, we got train system and then train system.xml. That data does not belong there. Actually, we've got a $ map dir $. Okay, placeables, train system. Okay, very good. Alrighty, now the location for this, as far as the rotation and the translation, I happen to know are both 000, and they're probably going to be the same for you if you're using one of the base game train systems. Now you can make your own, right? You don't have to use the base game. All right, and it'll make a little bit more sense as we go along. Okay. All right, so we get that put into our placeables.xml, and just like every other placeable, it does require a store item. All right, so if I go into my store items here, I might already have it inside of here. No, but I have my train cars in there, and that's going to be important because those are going to end up going in there. Okay, the train system.xml I do have in there. All right, now I keep all of my local files as far as my placeables are concerned. If I'm hosting it locally, I keep that in my mod desk. And if it stays on the base game side, I put those in my store items.xml. Okay, so in this case, we have that moved over into our mod map. So it's being hosted locally. So I put that into my mod desk. All right, and I'll highlight that right here. Just so I don't have to type it in all over again. You can see that I do have it in here, right? So I have my store items, just duplicate one of your lines. And then again, just copy that address over here to placeables, train system.xml. Okay, so we do need that store item. All right, now we're going to do this one step at a time, okay? We're not going to go ahead and start on the selling stations and everything like that. You just want to make sure that you got your train system in and that everything works. And this should be fairly easy because, like I said, it's one placeable. You just got to get your placeable in, your store items, and that's pretty much it, right? So from there, you can actually go ahead and test it. But let's go over into our map, quickly. We're not going to move anything around yet. Okay, we're not going to move around. If you look, we have, some of the gates, we have some of the callers. They're all set up inside of there. We're not going to move any of that just yet. We will get to that. One thing I do want to point out is the spline. Okay, so I'm going to make this visible for you. All right, now the way this one works, like I said, we're coming in one side of the map and we're going out on the other. All right, but the spline itself is actually a continuous loop. It's just like your traffic system, okay? It's a closed system. That means it's one whole loop. There's no open ends or anything like that. Now, the way this works is when you lay this down on your tracks, and you're going to want to do this, okay, is you're going to want to, if you're doing a custom track, all right, what you will want to do is take your spline and lay it right on top of the tracks themselves. I normally shoot for like one of these railroad ties in here, okay, and I lay it right down on top of there. All right, and you can kind of see how they have that. If you have a look in here, actually, let's do it this way. I guess that didn't really work out the way I wanted to, but you can see that, it's laid right directly on top of, probably works better if I did it that way, right on top of that railroad tie. All right. Now, like I said, don't worry because it's lower than the actual track itself. We can adjust the offset. Like I said, we can adjust the offset of that train. Now, like I said, keep it nice and straight. Try to avoid the wiggles and the, any bumps and stuff like that. if you have, like I said, if you have hills or anything like that, you want to keep your control vertexes closer together, right? Because your train's going to be following this just like, one of the vehicles on your traffic system does. And, if you're, all over the place with your spline, you're going to see that in the train. He's going to be all over the place as well. Okay, so with this being a circle, that's probably a little confusing to you guys right now because you come in one side and you go out the other. Well, why is it a circle? What's going on there? All right, so when we get over to this side of the map, now our cell point and stuff is over on this side, right? So when he leaves this side of the train, he'll go through his cell point, whether that's wood or it's any kind of like grains or goods like that. And he's going to keep on going. Now, he'll probably only get so far away before the clip distance. You won't be able to see him anyhow. But he kind of makes a left into these trees right here. And right in the area that you can see, like right in this area, right? If you're looking there, okay, he actually dips underneath the map. All right. And that's kind of important. Only because, like I said, first, if he didn't, you'd see him come across the top. But dipping underneath the map, right, what happens there is he shoots underneath the map and he'll come up on the other side. But what you need to take note of, okay, if you're doing your own spline, is that you got to be very, very careful with this spline going back up, right, where he's going to come up out of the map. You don't want to make that too steep, all right, because the physics still apply for that train. So if you come up on too steep of an angle, the train won't be able to make it. He'll start to come around, your course here. And as he comes on the return side underneath your map, he's going to get stuck on the hill. All right. So, which seems odd to me because I've seen trains fly in this game. All right. But yet he gets stuck on a hill. So anyhow, you can see how they did it, where it's real nice gradual run all the way up to the other side. And then when he gets over here, all right, he's going to pop out of the map right up in this area. And this area right here is where he's going to come up out of the map. Okay. So you'll want to do pretty much the same thing. All right. And he's just going to kind of make a left, and he's far enough away that, like I said, the clip distance, you're not going to be able to see him, or he's going to be hidden behind trees or anything else. So you don't really have to worry about that. All right. And then when your spline gets over here to your, when it gets up to your starting point here, right? Let me see if I can click on one of these. There we go. And you can actually open and close that spline. That's what they have going there. Just hit the O key and that will open and close that spline. Alrighty. And that's how you're going to set up your spline. So like I said, just be really careful with it. Make sure it's nice and straight. It's laid down really nicely on top of your tracks. Now the spline itself is not going to stay with your tracks. You can see that it's in the train system placeable. So if you do your own spline, make sure it stays inside of here. All right. And then one of the things that you're going to want to take note of is if you did have to make your own spline. All right. If you look here under train system, right, and then here's spline. If you look, there's an index path on the attribute side that says 17. I guess we'll call it a greater than sign, 17 greater than 0. All right. But if you look in your train system.xml, let me get back there if I can find it. I'm on my mod disk train system. Alrighty. Where was that? Okay, right here. Spline. For your spline itself, that node. Now this node says 0. Okay, which is what it is. If I was to open up this traffic system in its own version, in its own set, if I was to open it up in the Giants editor all by itself, that's what this node would be. It would be 0. Okay. When you look in here, you could just disregard that 17 and the node is actually 0. All right. And that's what you're going to want to do as well. If you need to create your own spline, you need to tell the XML where that spline is as far as the index path. Now, if you have the traffic system loaded up in the rest of your map like we do here, you're not going to be using this index path, okay? And I'll show you, we're going to get to that in just a little bit, and I'll show you how to do that. Basically, you want to open up the traffic system all by itself inside of the editor, okay? Not inside of your map, but we'll get there. So like I said, the whole point here is if you do any kind of work to your spline, almost everything you do from this point forward, for the most part, needs to be noted. Okay, so if you move things around, if you add things or remove things, that index path is going to need to be updated, right? So it knows where to find that node. Okay, and that node right now is at 0 as far as the train system, in reference to the train system. Okay, and yours is bound to change if you delete that spline and put a new one in there. You need to tell it where that spline is located so it knows where to find it for the train system. All right, so at this point right here, we can go ahead and we can save everything because we're in pretty good shape. All right. If you want, if you're going to test it, what you could do, and I probably recommend doing so, is to take this train system. Oops, I want to use my middle mouse button for that. And slide it up into your placeholders. Okay, and then this way, if you get into the map, like when you get in game, if you don't see like the gates and stuff there, if that didn't show up, then right off the bat you're having a problem with your placeable. Okay, so you definitely want to make sure that this is in your placeholders transform group. All right, if not, you'll have 2 copies of everything showing up. Okay, so now before we get to that point where we go in game to test it, let me get back to my train system here. All right. Now you can see in here, like I said, when I was explaining the part about the train itself, all right, you have the locomotive and 5 different cars that go with it. Okay, we're going to need to include those as well as part of our placeable. All right, but it's not actually going to go into our placeables.xml, but it will go into our store items. All right, so you can see here in my store items, I have the locomotive and the 5 different cars that go with it are inside of my store items. Now, if you have these saved locally, then obviously, no matter where you put them, it's up to you guys if you want to use your store items XML or if you want to use your mod disk. Like I said, most people tend to use strictly just their mod disk because it works for everything. But I like to keep mine separated just for organizational purposes. All right, and you guys probably know that by now. All right, so if you need help with that, though, okay, so what you can do is just go on to your base game side. All right, we'll go back to data. Is it placeables? No, let's go to maps, map US, and then we can open up their placeables and have a look at what they did there. Or you can also open up their store items and you can just copy somewhere in here is their train system. Right here is their trains, okay? So if you have a look right here, here's their train system, okay? So you can just copy this whole entire thing, right over to our store items if you want to, or your store items if you want to do that. Okay, that might be an easy way for you guys to go, and in this way you don't have to worry about typing anything in and stuff like that. Okay, and I think that's pretty much what I did. As a matter of fact, is I just kind of copied everything over, made it easy on myself. All right, so before you test it out, though, that does need to be in your store items, or that's going to throw an error at you. Okay. Let's really quick, like I said, if you want, you can also have a look in their placeables and see how they did that as well inside of their placeables file. Okay, let's look in here really quick. And normally they have it labeled so you know what goes where. And really quick, we'll see if we can find the train system. Here's railroad storage. Did I pass it? I know their train system is up top, but they should have 2 more like selling stations that they have inside of here. Yeah, here's the selling station, and they have 2 wood selling points. Okay. But yeah, as far as the placeables.xml, the cars don't need to go in there. They just need to go into the store items. Okay. Super easy. You guys should be able to handle that. Alrighty, so once you guys have that over, you have it set inside your store items. You have all of your locomotive and your 5 different cars, or 10, or whatever you decided to use. And you have that inside of your store items. We can save everything at this point. What I don't need is I don't need this spline to be visible. All right, so I can go ahead and hide that. All right, really easy. And we'll save everything like so. Okay, and at this point, you can head on over in-game and test it out. Make sure that everything works. I am going to skip that step only because I know that it works. All right, and I've done this. So, and like I said, just to kind of speed things up here a little bit, we will do one final test at the end. Or I will, but at this point, I would like you guys to go in there and test it out. Now, don't worry about if you're in-game testing and you're looking at your gates and stuff like that. If your gates are up or down, they're probably up. They should work when the train comes along, so you shouldn't have any issues with that. But they're not going to function 100% the way that you need them to, only because we don't have a traffic spline or anything like that going through there. So there are some things that need to be done with that before they're going to function exactly the way we need them to. One thing for sure is it will throw an error in your error log saying that it cannot find a traffic spline, right? So that's the thing about these gates, is if you're going to use them, there needs to be a traffic spline going through there, because that's what they're for, right? They're to stop traffic. So if there's no road and no traffic coming, then what is the point of having the gates? All right. So like I said, if you have a road, if you have a road that you don't have as part of the traffic system, you don't need to have those gates there. Okay. I understand that it's a road and that you might use it, but these gates are just for the AI traffic, basically. Now, I guess you could have them. And you can take them out of the train system, but they wouldn't be functional at that point. They'd just be for decoration. And then you would just either put this arm up, well, probably up. If you keep it down, you wouldn't be able to get through. But that's completely up to you guys at that point. So go ahead, test it out. Make sure everything works the way you want it to. And as soon as you get done with that, I will meet you back here and we will move on to the next step. Okay. Alrighty. So now for the next step, hopefully you guys tested that out and everything worked out okay for you. Okay. For the next step that we got going on here, we're going to still be working with placeables. Okay. We have a couple more that we're going to add on to here. All right. We have, let's see, the selling station wood, and we have the selling station train. Okay. We're going to actually drag both of these into the map right now. I could have dragged both of them at one time. You don't have to drag these one at a time. You can do multiples if you want. And then we're going to open up both of the XMLs inside of our text editor so we can start working on these. Okay, and like every other placeable, first things first is we want to go ahead and we want to change the file path so it points to our current location. Okay, and mine is in train system. Just placeables train system. Alrighty, and then we can save that. And selling station wood, we will do the same thing. Update our file path here. Alrighty, so we have our file paths all updated. Everything looks really good. Everything, I saved that, no problems. Oh, from here, let's see. As far as the changes, it's just basically locations that we're gonna need to make, and we're gonna do that right in our placeables.xml. Okay, so we updated our file paths. Let's get these put into our placeables .xml. And like I said, if you kept your placeables open from the base game, you could copy them out of there if you want. All right, and it's gonna be the selling station train, and there's gonna be 2 for the wood. So I'm going to do that because I am lazy and I don't want to have to type any more than I have to. I know that's really lazy when I can't even type. Doesn't matter because I'm still going to have to make some changes to both of these. All right, so we want to give them both a unique, or all 3 of these. Well, actually, you want to give them a unique map bound ID if you didn't copy it over. All right, these already have it set for me, so I don't have to. Like I said, it does need to be unique as far as the map bound ID. You can name it anything that you want, as long as it doesn't match any one of your other IDs. It's unique. Okay, I guess that would be the definition of unique. Alrighty, so from here, we're not going to keep this on the base game side, right? Since I moved everything over to my locally, so I do need to adjust my addresses here, right? So we can do $ map dir $ placeables / train system. Alrighty, so that's 1 down. And we need to do the same thing. I'm just going to copy this here. We need to do the same thing for the other 2. Okay, just make sure you get those updated. I always leave that D there. Get rid of that. Off you go. And same thing here. Okay, very good. And then we can go ahead and save that. Alrighty. So with the train system itself, like I said, our position and our rotation all remain at 0, 0, 0. That's just the way that they have that through the base game. And since Since what I'm using is a copy, it's almost an exact duplicate of the base game. I'm going to keep mine exactly the same way. But the selling station train and the two selling stations for the wood, they will get positions, okay? So let's get back into our map here really quick, and we'll look at selling station train will be the first thing. All right, now the way that this works, let me see. There is no position, there's no position for, if you look on my attributes, right? So all of mine says 000 there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to show you, I'm going to create a new transform group, and we're going to do it this way because I want to show you how they have this set up. All right, so if I look at selling station train, their position here is 995, 88, 532. All right, so I'm going to copy those and I'm going to paste that into that transform group. And just to give you a visual representation of what they're doing here. All right, and then that would be Shift Alternate V. Okay, we'll put that in there. Okay, so you can see where they have that set up, right smack dab between those two tracks. Now, like I said, with this selling station, the selling station train, it doesn't have that physical trigger that you would see on most selling stations, okay? This one works a little bit differently. And when we looked at the train system, all right, you can see here where it says selling station ID. And then, so if you want to call your selling station something different, or maybe you have another copy of it, or you're getting super fancy with your train system and you have multiples or what have you, you can call this anything you want. You just have to make sure that it matches the selling station ID inside your train system.xml. Okay. Because somewhere in their files, deep in the Giants and the Giants archive of mystical, magical, whatever files they have that make this thing go, there's a piece of code that tells it that this is, you know, a magical selling station. Okay, it doesn't have any physical boundaries to it. When the train leaves the map, it's like auto magic, right? It's just poof, it sells it for you. Okay, so that's the way that works. So normally with any type of selling stations, you'll see that with the wood when we set that up, that there is a physical box that you're gonna position just the right way so the train goes through, or the player, or what have you. All right, so you can see how they have their setup here. All right, and yours, you're going to want to do basically the same thing. And what I like to do is just create an empty transform group to get an idea of where this is going to go. Now, like I said, this doesn't have to be off of the map itself. You want to keep it still within the map, but pretty close to the edge. So I'm actually going to move mine up just a tad bit, like right into here. And the reason I'm going to do that is because Giants, from the original US map, their borders were really crazy. They were all over the place. All right. And my borders are not that way. All right. So I'm going to keep mine, pretty close to the edge there. It doesn't really matter. All right. And that's going to be my selling station. So now I have my new coordinates right here. All right. So I can hit Shift Alternate C and I can copy all three of those. And I'm going to go back into my placeables. Okay. And I am going to update that right here. Whoa. Boy, I got all kinds of not good stuff going on there. There we go. And I'm going to update that. And our rotation stayed at 000. So we're going to save. Okay. And that's it for the selling station train. All right. So as long as you have that set, you have it in your placeables. I believe there is another one in the store items. All right. So let's check their store items and see if they have, they have the selling station train and the selling station wood, both go into store items. All right. So it's always good if you guys don't know, you can just check everything against the base game, right? There's a placeables.xml in the base game. There's a store items in the base game. So if you want to know how something's done, or you have any questions or anything like that, just look at the base game, right? See how they did it. That's the easiest way to learn, is to just, learn from somebody else. Look at somebody else's work and see what they did. All right. Try to understand it. Don't just copy it and say, okay, and call it a day. Try to understand what they did and why they did it. Okay. So we are back over in my store items. Since these are local, let me see what I did here. On my mod desk, I probably have them. Yep. I have selling station train and selling station wood. We're going to eventually work on both of these, but I have both of them in here for now. So You can either put one or both of those in there right now if you want to. All right, make sure everything matches up. The file paths are correct. Okay, the same way that they would be in your placeables.xml. Okay, and the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to set up, or we can set up the selling stations for the wood. Okay, now the wood, they have these on either end of the map. All right, now this is kind of a little weird the way they did. Not a little weird, it makes sense, and I'll show you how they did this and why they did this. Okay, so this, I'm going to delete this transform group because I don't need it anymore. All right, and selling station wood, I am done with that, so I'm going to move that up into my placeholders. Now, with that, you'll notice that my selling station wood, or not wood, I didn't want to move that up there quite yet. I wanted to move selling station train. Why do you guys let me do this stuff? Placeholders. All right, so you notice with the selling station train, I didn't update any of the attributes inside of here. You want to keep those at 000 because it doesn't use these X, Y, and Z values when it places an item. It only uses the X, Y, Z values that are in your placeables.xml. All right, so when the game system or the game engine reads this file, it tells it to grab this train system or this selling station or what have you, and place it at this position and this rotation. It absolutely does not care about whatever you have in these boxes. These translate and rotation values, it doesn't care about that. Okay, so I'm perfectly fine just leaving that at 000, and it will still place it exactly where I want it over in here, as long as that's set correctly inside your placeables.xml. Okay, so the very next thing we're going to move on to is our selling station wood. All right, now they have that at 0002. Wood cell trigger. Okay, so we're going to have to do the same thing. If you want to find out where they have these, that's the way I like to do it, is just create a transform group. And then I'll take those values that they have here and I will copy them over just so I get an idea of where they have them. And it gives me an idea of what I want to do with them. All right, now I already have a pretty good idea of what's going on here, but I'll show you guys. Okay, so we'll plug those in, and that did not work all the way I wanted it to. What did I do there? Shift alternate V? Oh, I did control alternate. My bad. All right, so you can see this here. They have this set up. They have it set up right over top of one of the tracks, okay? Now, I believe this train, this spline, it kind of takes this inside track. All right, when he comes out of here, and then they have it turned at a 90 degree. I mean, if you wanted to, you can put the selling station, and you can move the selling station itself there, and this way you can see. All right, and then they had it moved at -90, so that's what it looks like, right? If you wanted to look at it the way that a visual representation of the way they have this. Okay, and I'm just going to move mine back a little bit because doesn't really matter. Maybe right in here. Actually, I guess I didn't really need to move it at all, did I? Only because I was kind of, in my mind, I was thinking of a longer car, right? So I was thinking of a car like yay long. You know what I mean? And then if half of it is already outside the map, oops, then I don't know. Would that have made sense that if it already went too far outside the map, it might not sell the wood? I don't know. My brain works in funny ways, so don't pick on me. All right. So we can leave that just where that's at. All right. Now, the one thing to keep in mind with the way that this works here, all right, and this is kind of funny, is as the train comes along, now it works good in this instance, okay? But as the train's coming, choo-choo, here he comes. He's got a big load of wood. As he crosses over this, it instantly sells all the wood that's on there. All right, so if you're working on your map, and I did this on the Elm Creek extension, all right, and I'm thinking about redoing it, all right, and I can show you quickly what's going on here. And in hindsight, it may not have been the best way for me to do it. All right, so if you have the train coming in this side of the map, okay, and then right in the middle here, you have that sell point, and then, leaving the map somewhere, over on this side. If you're working on the map right? And say somewhere over on by this first X up in here, if you load up some wood and you just want to move it to the other side of the map, you either have to go this way around the map or you have to go this way around the map. Because what happens is if you go in this direction, if you didn't actually want to sell that wood, you just wanted to move it, you just kind of boned yourself because you drove across that trigger and it sold all the wood for you, right? So you needed to be very careful of which direction you went with the train if you were just trying to move some wood from one location to the other. All right. So what I would do is I would probably stick with just the traditional sell point, right? So, you know, and by traditional, I mean where you actually have to stop over top of the trigger, you know, get out and then sell all the products that you have. All right. Because like I said, that was kind of hindsight for me where, you know, that's the way I had it set up, that you can just kind of send your wood, but it's in the middle of the map. It works good in this respect where it's on the end of the map, but it didn't work so good when you have that in the middle. So I eventually might change that, but I just wanted to let you guys know about that so you can keep that in mind just in case you decide that you want to reuse this, you know, this particular type of trigger somewhere else. Okay. And they do have one of these set up on either side of the map. All right, we can grab the coordinates from the other one really quick and see exactly where they have that one. All right, so I'll copy that and then we'll paste it on this side and we'll go have a look at where they have that at. All right, now there's this pretty far in. I would have thought they would have put that further out there, I guess. But then again, like I said, I don't know what their reasoning was, but I'm going to move mine out because I think it'll be okay, like somewhere out in here. All right, and then I'll take these coordinates and I'll copy them over to my new, those will be my new coordinates right here. There we go. All right, so the reason I believe they have one on either side of the map is wood can be a little bit finicky sometimes when you sell it. Not so much if you're parked directly over a sell point, but with a moving train that's going, you know, X miles per hour or kilometers per hour, and he just buzzes past that sell point, there's always a chance it's not going to catch everything. So this is kind of like redundancy, basically. Well, it serves two purposes. One, redundancy, that as he comes back in, it could sell any wood that may have not gotten sold. Not saying it always happens, but there's a chance that it won't sell everything when it leaves the other side of the map. All right, but as he comes into this side, it might pick up those remaining pieces and sell them. The other thing that I can see the purpose that serves is you don't have to necessarily go out that side of the map. You can go out this side of the map. All right, you can just go in reversed and send them the other way, and it'll still sell, right? Same thing. And it's the same thing with the sell points. Although I think the sell point, they only have set up as far as the goods go. I think they only have that set up on one side. I got to double check. All right. All right. So you can get those set up, get your selling station wood set up on either side, update, you know, your placeables with the translation and rotation, you know, the way that they have it set up or however you want to have it set up. You know, make sure that's all set up correctly. All right, so we'll go back over to the train system or the selling station train. I'm sorry. A few things that I want to show you inside of here. Okay, so as far as this goes, you're going to notice an area here where it says hotspots. Okay, now the way this hotspots work is actually, let me check one thing. This is nothing I need to show you guys. I just want to check something very quick. Selling station train. Yes. So they only have the selling station set up on one side of the map, but they have two hotspots. All right. And the way this hotspots work, is this mine or is that? Yep, this is mine. Okay. So these hotspots are basically the icons that show up on either side of the map. All right. And what I mean by icons is when you're looking at an aerial view, right, when you're looking at your PDA there, okay, on one side of the map over here, you'll have an icon that says Goldcrest Valley, I believe. And then on the other side, you'll have another icon that says, well, Goldcrest Valley. Right? So it's kind of odd that they have both icons say Goldcrest Valley, but those are your hotspots, right? They don't really do anything other than just have a little icon that says Goldcrest Valley. All right, so if you wanted to do something a little bit differently, like if you didn't want to have that name Goldcrest Valley, like up in here, see this $110N, okay? You can name this anything you want. All right, so I will name mine Browntown, because why not, right? All right, so with this, because you have two hotspots, they're both going to be named Browntown. Now, I think that's kind of weird that on the east side of your map, you have Goldcrest Valley, but on the west side, you also have Goldcrest Valley. So your train's coming from Goldcrest Valley, moving through your little town of who knows where, Elm Creek or wherever, and then it's leaving Elm Creek and going right back to Goldcrest Valley. So what you could do is, if you wanted to, you could delete one of these, okay? I would recommend keeping the one that the train is going to, okay? That would be the sell point. You're going to Goldcrest Valley to sell these. And then what you could do is, if you want to have that hotspot on the other side that says something different, like a different town name or something like that, because like I said, only one of these is the sell point, and that's the one that the train is going to. The one it's coming from it's nothing but a hotspot. So personally, I would delete one of these, and then I would go over to my map.i3, not my map.i3d, my map.xml. And on your map.xml, you have this section here that says hotspots. Okay, so what you could do is just duplicate one of these lines, all right, and add your own hotspot. And you can call it anything you want. So the way that you would want to work this is you want to have a look over at, where were we? Not store items. Man, I'm getting lost here. My eyes are getting a little buggy. All right, so it says unloading train, right? And then your world position. So you could even copy this one over if you wanted to, and just copy it right into your, actually, you know what? This says placeable hotspot. Does your other one say placeable hotspot? That's your store items. And this one just says hotspot. Okay, so there might be a difference there with the placeable and the hotspot. I would imagine they would both work, though, under hotspots. So you can give that a try. I personally have not tried this, okay? But like I said, you could. And what I would do is just give it the same type as that you have in your train system.xml. And then the text would be whatever you want to name it. Browntown or My Town or whatever, Ravenport, or you name it. Give it the world position, but do not give it a teleport world position, because this is going to be slightly off your map. And if you give it a teleport position, your players might be able to teleport right off your map. So it doesn't actually get a teleport position. Now, the difference between placeable hotspot and hotspot, not quite sure. They both do exactly the same thing. The only difference is one you can teleport to, and the other one you don't. All right. But that's definitely worth a shot. I'm willing to bet that would absolutely work if you just copied what's here under. Okay, I'm not in the right spot again. Am I? Man, I get really lost in this. You know what it is? My eyes are so bad I can't really read it right. If you just copied one of these, as a matter of fact, we can even try that. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to just cut that out of there. All right. We're going to try this together and see if it works, which I don't see why it wouldn't. And I'm going to put this underneath here. Okay, hotspot, type, unloading train, world position. We're going to keep the same. Okay, and this. Now I might need to change this to placeable hotspot. Okay, because this one didn't have anything for text behind it, so this might be a little bit different. But text, let's just say Ravenport is in that direction. Okay. And we'll save that one. You know what I'm doing? If you look up here, this is, I just overwrote. Let me get this off of here. I'm overwriting the base game copy. See, this is why I don't like having all of these things open inside of my, text editor, because these types of things happen. All right, let's try opening up the map.xml that actually goes to my map, not the base game map. Okay, let's go down to this hotspot and try that. Oy, oy, oy. I wonder what else I overwrote and didn't realize that I did it. Oy, oy, oy. Tutorial series, I'm telling you, it's all about being tired, man. Sleep deprivation will do crazy, crazy things to you. Just wanted to check the rest of these and make sure I'm working with my own files here. Yeah, I look okay there. Alrighty, so where did I leave off? We went through selling station train. I explained what the hotspots did, okay? And everything else you should know. This should already be set up in your placeables with a translation rotation value. You can change this hotspot if you want as far as the sell point. Not the hotspot, I'm sorry, the sell point. You know, now it's basically the fill type categories is train wagon, and that includes all of these. And that's pretty much. That's seed, sugarcane, wood chips, so on and so forth. So you could add to that if you needed to. Now you might want to watch though, because only certain fill type categories take certain fill types, right? So there's some things that you could not sell here. Like you don't see wood or anything like that on here because that's a different type of, it's a different type of or a different type of trigger, right? Different type of selling station that accepts that, right? So your typical selling stations don't accept every single thing you throw at it. All right. But you could change this. If you see anything on this list that is able to be there and you don't see it, you could add it if you want to. Okay. And then we already set up our wood sell points, right? So you have those set up. Okay. Or at least you should. And you should have that in your placeables, right? So you should have your wood train set up on either side of the map, all right, on both sides. And you should have both of those either in your mod desk or in your store items, okay? And then we'll be able to test after this. But there's just one more thing that I need to explain to you guys, all right? If you look inside, again, I think this is inside the train system.xml. All right, you'll see a driving range here, right? Where it says driving range, you have a start node and an end node. All right, and if you look at, let's look at train system. Okay, now they have a driving range. They have a start node and there's end node. Okay, so now the end node, and I might want to change these, right? Because maybe I don't want these in this exact position. Now, a lot of people are under the impression where this is establishing, and it may be, and like I don't know 100% about this. It's what it's doing is it's defining your driving position as far as like how far you can physically drive that train, right? From here over to here. Okay. And this is the end node, right? So for some reason they have this as the end and this is the start, even though the train is moving in this direction, right? So you would think this is the start and this is the end, but I'm not so sure that that's the way that actually works, right? I mean, this is the end and this is the start, but I think what's happening, all right, at least, like I said, my brain works in funny ways, okay? The way that I think it works, because there's a sell point right here, all right? And here's your start node, all right? Now, I think what happens is basically as the train comes and it hits the start node, it knows that this very next thing it's looking for is the sell point. All right, so it can sell its items. And then it basically starts kind of like a countdown as it loops around. All right. And when it gets to the other side, when it gets to over here, it basically hits the end node saying, okay, stop counting. You know, you're back on the map. So everything from this point up to the start point again is a drivable range. All right. Because these nodes right here, that's what's going to kick you out as you're driving. You know, if you try to stay in the train and drive off the edge of your map, that's what's going to kick you out. All right. So these nodes, you can move it to a better position if you want, right? So I can move mine somewhere up in here and I want to copy that. So again, I'm going to be hit Shift Alternate C, and that's going to be for the end node. Okay, so let's get into, where was I? Right here. Oh, these are the nodes. Oh, actually, you know what? I don't have to do anything. It's not actually recording the translation rotation values. It's just the node itself. So you just need to move these nodes to wherever you want to. Okay, so same thing with the start node. Now, I was going to save this until we actually started moving things around and getting things set up the way we want them to. And like I said, this is where it's going to kick you out. So that position should be okay. That should be just fine. Okay, so now the thing with these, with your placeables, because we modified a lot of stuff, we moved some stuff around and all of that stuff, we want to export these, okay? And we want to, like I said, the way it's, if this works this way with any placeable, if you make any kind of changes to it, you need to export them and host them locally. So we did make changes to these. So let's take our train system. Now it's already at 000, so we don't have to worry about doing anything to that. We're going to go up to File, and we're going to go to Export Selection. Okay, and I'm going to go find my Placeables folder, Train System, and we're going to overwrite that, no problems. Okay, next thing we have is Selling Station Train. That's also at 000, but I'm still going to go to File and I don't even know if I need to export. Nope, don't need to export anything on there because there's nothing to move. There's no values or anything like that. Everything's recorded in the file itself, so you don't have to worry about that. This transform here, I'm going to delete just because I want to. Selling Station Wood, I am going to move that up here with the rest of mine. Now, the Selling Station Wood, I have values in there, but I think I put those values in there just so I can show you what was going on. So I'm going to get rid of those values. And I'm going to export this the way that that's at. I'm going to go to File, Export Selection, and that's Selling Station Wood Train. I'm going to save that. Okay, and this way, any changes that you had made to it. Now, most of these I think we made either to the placeable .xml or we made in the XML itself. But some of them we did, like you see me move that starting node and end node, for the driving range. I physically move those. So it will take note of that. When you export it, like re-export these, it'll take note of that. So it's just a habit that I'm into. This way I know there's going to be no surprises when I get into something because I move some things around and there's going to be no surprises. All right. So I think right now we're running kind of long. So I'm probably going to stop there and we will come back for a part 2 where we will test all of this out. And we will start moving some of our gates around and stuff like that. And I will show you how to, as you add items and remove items, it's going to affect your scene graph. And you're going to need to make notation of what got moved where, what got added, what got removed. And you're going to need to make note of these new index paths, all right? Because if not, your train system is not going to be able to find certain things. Things are going to start going haywire on you, and it's not really going to work the way that you want it to. But for now, we have our placeables set up. We're good for one final test to make sure that all of our placeables work. And as long as they do, like I said, we can start moving things around. We can get our traffic splines set up, our gates, our hotspots, our callers, all that sort of thing. And we'll wrap it up on a video number 2. Like I said, we're running kind of long. So this one definitely, train system can get kind of involved. And this is just a basic train system. Mind you, this could get not a lot deeper, but it could definitely get deeper. There's a few different things you could do with the train system. All right. This is just the basics. So hopefully I wasn't, didn't confuse you guys too much on that one. I know I was kind of a little bit here and there and all over the place at some points, but hopefully you got a good handle on that and it made sense to you guys. I didn't confuse anybody too much. Okay. Alrighty. So with that, I'm going to leave you guys go with that. Like I said, if you find this video helpful in any way, shape or form, please be kind and, consider leaving a like and subscribe. That sort of thing helps me out. And with that being said, I am Bauer Brown and I will see you on the next one.